Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It's Christine with gaugegirltraining. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my top 5 diet fails. So let's get started. I have to tell you guys, I have had my fair share of dieting fails over the years. And before I found my way, before I learned about nutrition science, before I applied any of this to real life, I wanted to share some of the most horrific, awful diets I've tried since my teen years, early 20s, and just stuff that's been the worst. And I'd have to say, number one biggest diet fail I've ever experienced in my life was probably the Special K diet. It's got to be number one. And I'm not sure if any of you guys were teenagers in the 90s, but I remember when Special K came out with their new cereal with the strawberries, and they marketed this whole big thing where you could lose 6 pounds in 2 weeks, and all you had to do was replace 2 of your meals a day with Special K. Well, I became so addicted to Special K, it was ridiculous, and it was definitely not sustainable, and I would have even days where I'd eat an entire box of cereal. Completely don't recommend it. I'm not sure if any of you guys remember those days, but it was something that I used to do quite often back in the day. The number 2 biggest diet fail I've ever experienced is the cabbage soup diet. Now, I'm dating myself here, and this was something that I tried to diet down into my outfit for prom. And I have to give myself a little bit of credit here because this was like this was way before you could just Google a diet. This was in like the late 90s. And at that time, I wanted to lose weight for prom. And I bought this specific prom dress that I needed to lose 20 pounds to look decent in, and I was convinced that if I did this cabbage soup diet, which I ended up getting from one of my mom's co-workers who was about to go into surgery, and this was the diet that they gave this person to go into surgery, where this cabbage soup was the free food. It had this crazy regimen of everything you're supposed to do, and you were supposed to lose like 15 to 20 pounds in like 2 weeks. Well, I made it to like about day 2. The soup tasted disgusting. I failed miserably, and what I ended up doing was I couldn't return the other prom dress. I actually had to get a new prom dress that fit my body properly, and that's how that happened. Diet fail number 2. Diet fail number 3. Now, for my vegan friends, do not hate me, but I'm telling you, I tried veganism once. Again, this was as a teenager, it was my senior year of high school. My 2 best friends were doing it, so obviously I had to try it. And I could not get over the food. I couldn't do it. I tried my very hardest. I remember at this barbecue, we were grilling these vegan hot dogs that tasted like complete plastic, and it just did not work for me. I was hungry, I was miserable, I hated the food, and I would say that was diet fail number 3 for me. I know there are healthy ways you can make vegan food taste good now, but at the time when I experienced it, veganism was very different with a lot of like artificial processed foods. So diet fail number 4 for me was fasting. I went through a phase in college where I was convinced that if I fasted, I'd lose weight, where all you needed to do was just drink juice. But in hindsight, little did I know that the juices I was drinking were pretty high in just sugar, so I probably wasn't truly fasting. But I was losing about 1 pound a day on these fasts. And again, awful, didn't work. My ability to stick to it was very short-lived and not something I would ever revisit again. I was completely miserable, and all I did was think about food the entire time. It was like completely defeated the purpose. Last but not least, now I'm saying this last, but this is probably my biggest diet fail of all time. So this is number 5. This is Detox tea, and it is by Triple Life. So I'm going to put a picture here of what this tea looks like. I decided that I was going to do this detox tea, and this was probably, how long ago was this? Let's say maybe it was before I started competing, so probably around like 8, 9 years ago, I tried this detox tea. And I'm a tea drinker. So I would drink multiple bags of tea all day long. Probably during a work day, I could probably have anywhere from 3, 4, sometimes even 5 cups of tea because I just keep refilling it. But it's typically green tea. But instead, this day, I just had this Detox Triple Life tea. And I probably had about 4 bags of it that day. And little did I read that you were not supposed to have that many bags. You're probably supposed to have 1. Well, I had 4. And in the middle of the night, I was so dehydrated and cramped from this tea, because apparently this detox tea is a diuretic and it's just going to flush everything out of you. I was completely cramped. I was having just it was a very miserable, unpleasant experience. And I remember literally being on the floor of the bathroom being like, this is how my life's going to end. I thought I needed to go to the emergency room because I was in so much pain from the cramping and dehydration and just my bowels just, it was awful experience. So all that being said, these were my top all-time 5 worst diet experiences. And it wasn't until I started to get some experience with portion control. Probably I started to learn real portion control when I was in college, and I didn't actually successfully implement it for something sustainable for life until, well into my late 20s, early 30s, and into where I am now. So comment below what your biggest diet fail was, and if you've ever experienced any of these things that I have, number 1 through 5, I'd be curious to know what yours were. But I wanted to share these experiences with you because I want you guys to know that I've made all the mistakes. I've fallen for all the hype. I've fallen for all the stuff back in the day, but you live, you learn, and you grow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.